And I'm going to go live now. All right. Good morning, Facebook. Adam Smith with the Core Finance Group. With us, as always, is our marketing director, Kelly Dingens. And our guest this week is Chris Burleson. And Chris is the mortgage pro, out driving the competition along the lines of that golf pro adage. And Chris is a colleague of mine, and we belong to a couple of secret society fight club groups together that comprise some other mortgage originators, or a lot of other mortgage originators that focus heavily on helping each other with our businesses, our lead generation, our community service, those kinds of things. So hopefully we'll get to talk to Chris about all of those things today during our episode. Before we get too far in, one, I do want to apologize for the delay. We are running a few minutes late due to some technical difficulties. And I also want to make sure to mention that if you guys look at the top of your screen, you'll see our Zoom code if you want to jump in and video conference with us. And of course, if you have questions for myself or for Kelly or for Chris, go ahead and make those in the comments. And of course, it's funny, the majority of our early audience here in the first minute are people in that Fight Club group with us. Good morning, Rex. Hi, David. So yeah, let's get right into it. And Chris, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at, what you've been doing, how long you've been doing it, those kinds of things, and we'll see how that develops.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on. First of all, Adam, honored to be here. But so yeah, I've been doing mortgage origination for almost 20 years now. Kind of a weird story. I don't think anybody plans on becoming a mortgage loan originator, during their high school or college days. It's just kind of something that happens. I was actually an electrical engineer prior to getting into mortgage origination. And when 9/11 happened, we had the terrorist attacks on the trade centers and on our country. I worked for a company called Cutler Hammer, and we were a robotic and automation division of that company. And so we built control panels, conveyor belts, or the control panels for the bottling companies, things like that. Well, when the attacks happened, they basically, in the short story, they shut our division down. We were uncertain whether our government contracts would be renewed. Flights, there was nobody flying at that time. So, I did have played college baseball, and a friend of mine wanted me to come play on their company softball team. And to be part of the softball team, I had to be an employee. And at the time, it was a company that's no longer around, thank goodness, was Syntax Home Equity, which is a subprime debt consolidation company. So that's how I kind of earned my teeth, I guess, per se, is calling these leads and pitching them terrible deals, which I didn't know any difference at the time. 5 points, 5-year prepays, 327s, 228s, all the good stuff. These people would pay $12,000 or $15,000 in fees to pay off $5,000 in debt. Made 0 cents, but I sold the crap out of it because that's what I was told to do, and that's how I made my money. So I did that to become, to play softball and hang out with my friends. And then, 20 years later, here I'm still doing it. Two-time KMBA president of our local Mortgage Bankers Association. I really have a passion for what I do. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping others. So it's not just a job for me. It's truly turned into a career, and it's had its roller coasters, no doubt, but it's been very fulfilling and allowed me to impact, other people's lives as well.
And other than Centex, and boy, talk about a blast from the past, and I know you can't see it in the video stream, but behind me over that sliding glass door in my office are all the baseball caps from all the defunct, meltdown lenders of the past, Lime, and what else is in there, Peoples and Southstar and Sebring and on and on. But you actually kind of grew and changed your career path through some sales management stuff, some LO management stuff. There were some other companies in that history, correct?
Oh yeah, there's been several companies throughout that. I mean, started out in the subprime. I went over to broker for a little while, and then I got into mortgage banking. So I worked for some larger Southeast banks for a long period of time, and then I got into correspondent lending. So that's kind of what I've done. Over the past, really, I guess 10 years is the correspondent route, and but our I guess our industry is changing, for the better. So we'll see what the future holds, as far as that goes. But yeah, I've enjoyed, starting new companies, getting them, staffed and hiring managers and support staff and getting it branded. That's been a lot of fun, but, it's also a lot of work and it takes away a lot of time from your family. So the last couple of years, I've probably, just really focused on kind of my own production and, in my family, and allows me to, instead of being this babysitter, making a few basis points overrides, I just focus on making, more loans myself.
Okay. And I think one of the things that you mentioned before I pegged you with that question about your history is, and I think our entire audience needs to know this, whether you're a loan originator or a real estate agent. And I think that Chris's longevity speaks to this. I think my personal longevity speaks to this. Guys, this is a career. It's not a job. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And you can see just through the brief amount of history of Chris's career that he's given us, it's been ups and downs. It's been hurdles. It's been something where there have got to be dynamic changes because it's not a stagnant business. And this is true of real estate. This is true of mortgage origination. If you're not able to be flexible, be malleable, roll with the punches, as it were, then you're not going to find the same successes that the people who can do. So take, for example, the real estate agents that were really hot and heavy in short sales and REOs and doing that kind of thing. And we don't live in that kind of an environment anymore. We don't have that kind of a real estate market anymore. Really, there isn't anybody who's owned a house for the last few years, 5, 10, that doesn't have equity in that house. And, the odds of that changing, I think we're dealing with a real shortage and not a bubble, is slim. So if you were that agent who was the bomb, and I mean tits at doing short sales, and you didn't know how to modify and manipulate your practice, your business, your lead generation, etc., then you probably had to go back and work on your lines of, would you like fries with that? Yeah. So I think it's really important for you guys to understand, and I know that we don't quite cover it in Chris's brief career history, it's not a brief history, don't get me wrong, but what he briefly touched on is that you guys have got to remain dynamic because your industries are. They're not stagnant. You've got to be able to move, roll, bend, flex, and change how you do business, your mindset about it, so on and so forth. All right.
One of the worst answers somebody could give is this is the way we've always done it. And, why do we do it this way? And, the worst answer is this is because this is how we've always done it is a terrible answer. Our business changes daily. I mean, I've had to change my focus in the last few years. And, we've got into more lead generation, more education, trying to add more value than the discount online, perceived value online lenders, the discount people. You've got to consistently add value to your partners, not just to be there with your handout wanting a referral, but also able to give referrals and educate and teach how to use CRMs, how to generate leads, how to generate massive database. So you've got to be able to, like you said, ebb and flow with this business, or you're going to get left behind.
Well, I think that that's an important point as well. And let's cover a little bit more of that. Tell us about your relationships with your referral partners, agents, real estate agents, insurance agents, divorce attorneys, whatever. And tell us about how the symbiosis of those relationships work. And it's not just you calling on real estate offices with a box of frickin' donuts once a week begging for leads or bringing rate sheets. People used to do that shit, call on real estate offices with rate sheets. But tell us about the nature of those relationships, and then maybe backtrack a little bit to where your business comes from, how you generate it, what that looked like in 2018, and how you're going to make those changes going forward in 2019.
Well, I mean, as far as my relationships go, I'd rather be something special to 10 people than try to be everything for 30 people. So if I can create a good network of referral partners that are true partners, that I'm adding value to their lives, making their business easier, helping them add commission checks to their pocket and feed their family, that law of reciprocity has really paid off. I saw Michael Mayer speak a few years ago and just really kind of changed my dynamic on the way I think about relationships. So that's worked out really well. And it doesn't always get paid back to you. At some sort of fashion, maybe it does down the road. But I love to, if an agent gives me a referral, I like to give them 1 or 2 referrals back. If I can, and agents know that of me. I'm not just here to hand out, I'm here to help them grow business. And, you touched on financial advisors, wealth managers, things like that, CPAs, those are a huge part of my business. I haven't got along the divorce attorneys yet, but the CPAs, financial planner, wealth advisors, because those are people that have books of business. So if that advisor or that trusted professional is referring a mortgage professional to their client, they're not apt to call and shop around. You're already kind of trusted. You've gotten past that know, like, and trust part just by the warm referral handoff from them. And if you've got 10 people like that in your back pocket, it makes a good living. And at this point, when you've done this almost 20 years, you can almost pick and choose who you want to partner with and who you want to work with, that you just don't have to work with anybody, but you can really grow your center of influence by, I think, adding value and being a true partner with each other.
True story. And tell us, other than having business to refer out, what are some of the other things you're doing to educate, illuminate, exacerbate the volume for those referral partners?
Okay, so one of the things that, I love, I really do love the education piece of it. Love getting in front of agents or whoever it may be that just wants to learn. One of the tools that we use is Listing Booster. And it's not when I've used Listing Booster probably 5 or 6 years, but what I've had to do was change my pitch on how we use Listing Booster. It's not, if you focus only on the conversions, you're going to be let down. And you can't say, I'm going to send you all these leads. And you could send an agent 100 leads a week easily. And if those don't convert, people get burned out pretty quick. So you've got to change that message to, let's take these 100 leads a week and let's put them into Line Desk or some super simple CRM. That's $25 a month, no commitment, but let's show you how to build a database to market to. Let's show you the foundation of how this should work, because let's be honest, one of the biggest lessons I should have learned 20 years ago was keep a better database. And Adam, I know you're a master at that. And every year on my birthday, I know I'm going to get that phone call or that slide broadcast from Adam. You're consistent with it. And I think the biggest thing of anybody getting into this business is keep a good database, because you're collecting data. A person's email address and phone number is some of the most valuable pieces of information you can get. And even through Listing Booster, we can get 30 or 40,000 leads a year. If those don't convert, at least we have people to market to.
Sure.
And let's be honest, with the listing ads and with things that I do to generate for my partners, Listing Booster is the bait for what I intentionally want to do. So when these agents are having open houses on these houses that are in Listing Booster, we have an audience that we can go target, a custom audience that we can target and solicit for their open houses that they're running. So it's really a multi-purpose tool. It's a great, we often refer to it as the gateway drug, getting people addicted to working with you for business, because Listing Booster is a great door opener and it's so easy to use.
It is easy to use. And I don't know if Frank or Brian are watching, but there's a nice plug there for you guys, because Listing Booster is cool. And obviously a big part of this is that the technology has to be the bomb. And we talk about that a ton, that, look at what, Zillow is to real estate agents, and what the Rocket, I know that's a bad word, is to loan originators, and what Carvana is to car salespeople. The technology is not going anywhere. So if you're going to, do your head in the sand kind of mentality with it, you're going to get hurt. So for those of you that are paying attention, yes, not only is Listing Booster a great piece of tech, And actually, it's funny that you bring that up, Chris, because shortly after we're done with this video, we'll put our weekly video blog out for real estate agents that we do every Monday. And this week's topic is contact databases. You just got to build them. If you don't have a database to market to, I don't care if it's a text campaign, a slide broadcast campaign, snail mail, you want to bang the phones, whatever, you got to have that contact database, and Listing Booster is a great tool to capture that data to start building a database to market to. Another big piece that circumnavigates back around to what we're talking about here is that changing that mindset about Listing Booster also follows along the lines that this is a career, not a job. You guys are not working things like Listing Booster and all of the other options that are out there. And I know there's a lot of noise for you agents and originators that watch our weekly program here, but these are things that could convert in 2 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. Chris and I both have a multi-decade career history, and I guarantee you I'm talking to clients that I've been marketing to in that manner, to real estate agents that we've been marketing to in that manner for the first time after doing it for years and years, because you can't look at a conversion rate in a 2-week cycle or a 30-day cycle or even a 365-day cycle. You've got to look at it from the mindset that this is a career, it's a marathon, it's not a job, it's not a sprint. So things like Listing Booster are really, really big for that framework, that foundation of what you guys should all be focusing on for the long term.
That's 100% correct.
All right. So what does 2019 look like for you, Chris? What big things have you got on the horizon for your business, for your lead gen, for your community, for the Bankers Association? Tell us about the next 11 months here.
Now, I think we've seen, obviously in October, we saw rates start to go up when the government started the quantitative uneasing of bond mortgage-backed securities. Rates started going up, but now we're starting to see those rates come back down. So I think 2019 is going to be a fabulous year overall for our economy. I hope they get this government shutdown thing worked out soon, because that did backlog a lot of things. You hit on the rocket. One of my things that I try to educate is, that may not always be the answer. We know loan officers in other markets that agents won't even take a pre-approval letter from the rocket. I had one that we're closing this week was pre-approved by the Rocket, but they wanted to make an offer on a Sunday. Well, guess what? They couldn't get in touch with anybody at the Rocket. The Rocket was out in space somewhere. So the listing agent called me. I had them send them my pre-app link. They pre-approved. I was able to look at their credit. They got the document upload checklist. They got all that done. I ran DU, pulled their credit. W-2 borrowers, they had their down payment. Super easy deal, 700 scores. Pre-approved them in about 30 minutes from a Sunday at my daughter's basketball game. And then the government shutdown happened. We were going USDA. Now with the government shutdown, they're underwriting files, I think, on January 5th at this point. So this is closing 2/20, supposed to be closing. But with the USDA backlog, we've had to shift gears and go to a bond program, a state agency program here. And that's something that working with an online lender at a discount, and when you look at the fees, you realize it's not a discount.
It's not a discount.
Oftentimes I think they get their down payment requirements mixed in with their origination that they charge. They're charging 3 or 4 points to offer these low rates. We can offer the same rates with no points a lot of times.
Right.
But I'm just saying, that perceived value that you get with working with online lenders, I'm trying to get that. So for 2019, long story short, I'm trying to get that out to work local. That's my big thing. My word for this year was relentless, which I found, we're just now 2 weeks into February. Relentless is a very hard word. It's a hard word to keep every day. But, what are you doing each day to be better than you were yesterday? Are you truly being relentless? We know if we've read the book, that's a mindset. And that's something that we all have to change in choices we make daily. So 2019, I think, is going to be a great year. But my message this year is to get out to many people as I can, is to work local, give back to the communities, which is something, that I love to do. I love to give back and be a part of the community I live in.
Well, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Tell us about your community involvement. I seem to recall at some point you had last year, I think for the holidays, adopted a family that really wasn't able to provide holiday on
Right.
their own means. And I know that our Fight Club
Our
group
group,
had
yes.
donated a lot of money to make sure that these people had a more traditional holiday gifts and decorations and meals and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
that they're able to put clothes on their backs. But yeah, tell us about your community involvement that way.
Yeah, so some of my biggest things, that one of my really good friends, he works closely in a foster program, and is always trying to raise money and things like that, trying to take these foster kids who are taken from their homes due to drug addicted parents, or just, missing parents that, go on these overdoses and never come home. And then you get DHS come in and take these kids out and put them in foster care. So, last year our group was able to, had a foster parent that their house burned down. Everything was in it. And they, not that they had a whole lot to begin with, but they truly lost everything they had. Our group came and rallied, and were able to give the foster kid. He was an artist, and we're able to give art supplies and donations to the grandmother, or the foster care, who was a grandmother, but she was the foster parent, I guess, in this situation. We're able to donate gift cards to her. I personally paid for part of the group, but I mean, something we did outside of that group, other than those gifts, was I sent her and her family to a hotel. We've got Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg in our area. It's a big touristy area where Dollywood is, but we sent the family up there to Dollywood and 3 nights hotel for them and the family, just to get away and have accommodations as their life was crumbling, just to give them. Sorry, dude, but just to give them a little hope for the holidays.
It's good. It's a ridiculously positive thing for a number of reasons, and we do that kind of thing here too. We actually let every one of our clients that wants pick a charity of their choice on Colorado Gives Day, and we donate in their names. Obviously, some of it's a little more hyper local than that, like what you're referring to, what you're talking about. But I think it's important for a number of reasons that we have that kind of human connection. I'm not sure that our referral partners, our colleagues, our clients really understand that, one, we're people just like everybody else, that we have ups and downs, we have foils and follies, successes and failures, so on and so forth, and that maintaining that human connection with our community, with our clients and colleagues, that we're not just mortgage machines, we're not just real estate machines. And I do think, unfortunately, a lot of the real estate community, a lot of the mortgage community maintains that machine type of mentality in what they put out to the general public, that we don't make those personal connections, despite the fact that this is some of the most personal stuff going on. I mean, I know how much some of our clients owe on their Victoria's Secret account, how many times they went to Taco Bell this month, those kinds of things. And just like Chris is opening up here for all of you watching, being that emotionally vulnerable, we need to do that in every walk of life, particularly in a business where we have such human emotional connection. I mean, real estate agents, you guys have got to understand that when you take someone out to see a home, they're going to picture their dog running around in that yard, their kids trick-or-treating up and down that block at Halloween. It doesn't get much more personal than the types of interactions that we have as professionals. So make sure that you're doing that, that you're maintaining that in the back of your mind as important, because this is how we've chosen to live our lives. We've chosen to help, to give, to make those kinds of connections in the biggest things these people are dealing with in their lives as our professional careers. The line between your career and your personal life should be very, very blurry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, with the foster program, it's, whether it be the Second Harvest Food Bank with donating food items to kids who don't get to eat on weekends, or Habitat for Humanity building homes for those that want to put some sweat equity in and own a home. We can't always finance a home, but, I think the part of giving back, it's that law of reciprocity that we should live by, is give back as much as we humanly can. to our communities. And that's why my message for 2019 is work local.
It's a great message.
Yep.
So give us just a little snippet of how that shift into work local goes for you when it comes to your lead generation.
Well, the lead generation is the, the classes I teach are, like I said, is with Listing Booster. It's with, it's a 4-part class. Every class I do is a 4-part series. Listing Booster obviously is the first part of it. Second part is a good CRM to plug it into, because you don't want all these leads just going untouched. We know that the money's made in the follow-up and the conversion, and the magic number is somewhere between 8 and 12 touches. And as we use automation to deliver, to keep us top of mind to all these people, it shouldn't replace the human element of the transaction. The slot broadcast and things like that, well, we're getting a human message, voice message, at least at a minimum, out to these people to know that, hey, we're local, we're in your communities, we're here to work, for you, if we can help you find a home. They're filling out these, 14 pieces of information that say exactly what they're looking for, how many bedrooms and bath, their credit, their income. They're filling out all this stuff, and we're able to hand this stuff off to help agents give back to the community as well. I mean, I think we do that by giving mentality, having abundance.
All right. I think that's really, really well said. I'm I'm still a little emotionally tied up in our previous conversation, so
I know, man, it's tough
with me,
because it's real people.
It is
real people that we're impacting. And, when you have a passion for what you do, you get emotionally tied to these people, and you want to see them succeed and give them every opportunity that we have, just to get by and live a somewhat normal life in an abnormal condition. So,
all right. Well, I'm not crying. You're crying.
No, you. So much, Dustin.
All right. Well, Chris, before we wrap things up, let's make sure that the amazing other like-minded, similar career individuals, and of course all of the consumers that would be so fortunate to work with somebody with your experience, your mindset, your creativity, your longevity, know how to find you. So tell everyone watching how the good people of Knoxville can reach out to you.
Yeah, man, look at me up on Facebook. You can see my profile. I'm pretty transparent there. I've got a daughter that plays competitive soccer. I'm a family guy. I'm here local, 20 years experience, and I'll put my underwriting knowledge up against anybody, at least in our market, not necessarily in our group, because our group is pretty smart.
I was going to say, Evan Wade, so come on.
Yeah, not everybody has a brain as big as Evan's, but otherwise, I mean, I can get the answers quickly, and I'll shoot you straight. If it's not going to work, I'm not going to lead you down a path a week before closing until it's not going to close. The last time I've submitted something to underwriting that didn't close, I couldn't tell you when that was, because I do a pretty damn good job on the front end of submitting my files and being sure that we're meeting all those minimum qualifications along the way, just unless something pops up, they quit their job or they go buy furniture or a new truck or whatever it may be that kills the deal. But at least on the front end, if I'm submitting the deal, they're going to close. So that's all I got to say about that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. For those of you in our audience, do keep an eye out later today for that video blog that Kelly will put out later today on the subject of contact databases. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, certainly reach out to us. Our guests are always real estate agents, loan originators. We talk about the market. We talk about all kinds of different things. We try to focus on lead generation, how we're doing good business, what kinds of work we can do that will benefit our partners, our people, our clients, our friends, our family, etc. So if you'd like to be a guest on the show, certainly don't hesitate to reach out for that. And before we do go, Chris, I'd like for you to stay on the line, as it were. Okay. I've got a couple of things I did want to ask you about. And for the rest of you, thanks for watching. And we will see you guys again next week. Monday mornings, barring any technical issues, Monday mornings at 10:30 Mountain Time. You guys all have a great week. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Ah, shit, Kelly, I'm sorry. I didn't even ask you if you had anything to add. I don't think you said a single word this week.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. No, I'm good. All right.
I'm
Well, the
good.
video's done. Let's see. Let's stop.